Welcome back to another episode of Dentside Depot. Today we're going to be installing Battle-Born Brakes rear Super Duty leaf spring conversion kit. And here's what you get with the kit. You get 2 sets of brackets, 1 set for each side, front, back, and the hardware. Now with this kit you're going to have to use the 2017 and up Super Duty springs, or you can go with Skyjacker FR173S springs, which is what we're going to be using on this project. And then this kit will bolt a Super Duty axle right into the back of your truck. But that's not what I'm using this kit for. I'm using it so I can actually use these bigger springs since I'm doing a diesel swap, and I'm going to be putting a Dana 80 in this truck. Also in this video, we're going to install these shock mount brackets from Battle-Born Brakes because the factory ones just are not good enough for what I'm going to be doing. So all that and more, stay tuned. We're going to be installing that kit right now. Okay, so we're starting here in the back with this bracket first, and you can see, by the way, beautifully welded by Battle-Born Brakes. I love all of their products that they have. No one's paying me to say that, I'm just saying it because it's the truth. So with the back bracket, you're using the hardware that's supplied, and there's actually not much modification you need to do. It just sits right here like this. 3 of the holes are already done for you. And it looks like I might need to open them up a little tiny bit here. So I hit this here. That might just be the POR 15. Probably. Okay. And then what I like to do is just take an oil-based paint pen, just fill the holes in, so that way they're not going to rust out. Another reason I don't like the powder coat frames is then you got to mock everything up, take it all apart, and then you'd have to do the same thing with powder coating. Right. Ooh, now it fits in nice. And it also comes with these really nice, thick, oversized washers, which I like. That's really good. There we go. Definitely fits in snug. Let's get the third one started here before I start sending them home. Oh, that seems to be off a little bit. Well, that's definitely off for me. So it looks like fits there. And it fits there, and let's see here. Oh, it's just off by such a small little amount. So what I'm gonna do is, it appears to be even across the top. So I think the first thing I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna double check myself, and then I'm gonna tighten these 2 down, and then I'm gonna take my Dremel and I'm just gonna ream the back of the frame there just a little bit rather than doing it on the bracket. Okay, so I used my Dremel with a reaming bit on it, and I just reamed out the hole just a tiny little bit. It was very close, and I also bolted the passenger side up too really quick just to make sure that it was the same problem on both sides, and it was identical on that side as well. So now, there we go, that fits in perfect. Got a nut on the back, and you can see this is high quality grade 8 hardware included with the kit, which is great because then you don't have to run out to Home Depot and find all the bolts and nuts and everything else, and that is always definitely much appreciated when you have a kit that you're paying a lot of money for. All right, so that really was easy to do. That's 3 of our 4 bolts down. So now I think I'm going to use a punch, and I'm going to center punch that hole and then drill it out. Let's see how that goes. All right, so I just used a center punch and then a small little bit, and then step my way up to 7/16. Fits in perfect. Get my nut on the back. Go. That's that. First bracket done, and I'm in it 5 minutes so far. And that looks really good. Nice and square. So I'm going to repeat that process for the other side. And let's move on to the front one here. All right, so for the front bracket, forward facing bracket, there is a left and a right. And you want the plated side to be facing forward so it has room to articulate. Now the factory bracket, you can see, would bolt right here like this, but because of our increased eyelet width, this bracket is actually going to bolt right here, with that one single hole being the locating pin. So let's get that in here. So our parts bag. You know what, I'm just going to get it set up, and I'm going to clamp it down with a vice grip and get our next hole drilled. All right, so I had the bracket set up here and ready to be drilled. What I did was I took a welding clamp right here and got a clamp down, and the way I measured this to make sure that it was good was I first took a measurement on this side, I took my straight edge on top of the frame, and I just measured from the top of the straight edge to the middle of the bolt. Okay, got my measurement there, and for me it was 2 inches minus an eighth. And on this side, same thing. Got to the same exact point, clamped it down, made sure that it's straight and flush. Now I'm gonna center punch it, drill it out, and then I should be good. And once I feel, I'll double check my measurements. Then once I feel good about that, then I'll do the mark the bottom bolt holes and drill those out and see how it goes. All right, so I got the bracket installed. I did center punch everything and then take the bracket back off and drill everything out, and I realized probably better to use a step bit. So I did a step bit and took it all the way to the size I needed, then I reamed it with the correct size, I think 29/64 for the final hole size. Got everything back in, measured again with the straight edge, 1 7/8 on each side to the center of the bolt. Got that tightened down, then got everything snugged up. This bolt, I did put an extra washer, a bigger washer on the back because it's close to a little hole in the frame. I'm sure that's a super cab only problem. So just to give it a little extra protection there. Other thing I like about these brackets is you can see how they're webbed and welded really nice. The factory brackets, they just come down flat and they're not super strong. So I really like that design a lot. Okay, so something I did to check the measurements on my brackets, I have Battle-Born Brakes diagram up. I made center marks going up the middle of the center axle line. And all I did was take my tape measure and go from center bolt on the one bracket to the center, and this should be 28 1/4. And that's exactly where it's at. And then the other side should be 29 1/8. And that's exactly where it's at. And now the other measurement that you need to take from here to here, 65 7/8. That's very important because if those measurements are off, then your center line is off, and it'd be really bad if it was different on each side because then the axle wouldn't be centered. So that's all set, so now we can put our leaf spring in on both sides. All right, so real quick before I install the spring here, I'm also going to be installing Battle-Born Brakes rear shock mounts, and the reason for that is it uses an eyelet design instead of design that's just a stem that sticks up. And when you put lifts on these trucks and you don't have the angle correct, it can be real difficult to get the factory shocks in. So we're going to install these here. Revised design that should be a lot better, and I can use a modern style shock. Just using some regular bolts like I have been this whole time for the whole project. So just sticks in the frame here. And then you're just sticking your bolts through. And putting your nuts on the other side. And that's about it. Really nothing too much to it here. I'm really excited to see how much better these will work compared to the factory design. It'll give me more options with my shocks when the time comes for what size I want to end up using. So that's about all there is to this. I'm just going to get the rest of this way in and tighten them down, and then we'll get the leaf spring in here, both sides, and this project will be done. All right, we're ready to get the leaf spring installed here. Now, one thing you need to know is you need a 7/8 5-inch bolt for the front. They're monsters, so that's something you'll have to special order. They're crazy, crazy big bolts, but all right, let's see if we can get this leaf spring in now. I'm gonna start with the front. So yeah, I can get that in there. Leaf springs are crazy heavy. Oh man. Let's see. Might have to spread that. It's going in there. Alright, let's see here. Oh, I got lucky. Oh, that's so close. Let's see. That is a dowel. Okay. Grab a hammer. Oh. And onto the back here. Maybe I should. It's pretty tight. Maybe I should try and spread that out a little bit. There we go. That was easy. Okay. Pry bar. Whoa, very close. Oh, too far. A little bit back. Now let's see. Beautiful. All right. Well, that side is done. Obviously, I have to tighten all the bolts down and get the nut on the front one and everything, but all right. So, final thoughts on this kit. Very happy with the craftsmanship of the brackets and the way they fit. These springs are monsters, so they're great for my application. If you're not doing a Super Duty axle swap, or you're not doing a heavy duty application like I am with the Dana 80, probably not necessary. But if you're going with a big setup like I am, this is definitely going to be a great option for you. One thing I do want to point out is that although this video is like 15 minutes long, I did spend probably 4 hours lining these brackets up. I made very precise measurements using a flat straight edge from the top of the frame to the bracket here, top of the frame to the bracket here, measurement from here to center line, here to center line, here to center line, and eyelet to eyelet. And then take that measurement from this side, do the exact same thing on the other side. It is critical that these brackets here are in the same exact position on each side, because they are going to be the brackets that determine your center line for the leaf spring on each side. And obviously you don't want one side of the axle farther forward than the other. That would not be good. My final eyelet to eyelet measurement was 65 3/4, which was 1/8 less than what is on Battleborn's website, but they said that is acceptable. And the spacing here, or the placement here, is the most critical thing. So this is a great option for you if you want a heavy duty application. If you enjoy Dentside content, please remember to like and subscribe, and we will see you on the next episode.